Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Modern SEO, old SEO versus new SEO. That is search engine optimization, and these days we call it search everywhere optimization. You are all welcome to the room. Thank you for being here. Happy Friday. I'm excited. We are going to talk about some great concepts and great things that you can also do for your business if you are interested in creating more value and also understanding the value and the difference between these two. These are two different things, and people talk about SEO and how it's done and what it's done for and why it's important and why it's not important. It's a lot. And I just felt like it would be good to just bring this to an end so we could just focus on what is really important and stop guessing or asking ourselves questions that we should be having answers to on the long run. So I'm excited to be here with y'all today because as you are listening to this specifically, wherever you are listening to this, old SEO and new SEO are two different things. Completely two different things, and they may be the same because it's still SEO, but the way it's done is completely different. There's a new way that it's being done, completely different from how it used to be done, and it's always going to get newer and newer and newer. Welcome Jasmine, welcome Tana, Dave, Prakash, Welton, Mo, Stephanie, Diane. Thank you for being here. Sarah, appreciate y'all. And if you are in the room, we're going to talk about this. Welton says SEO. Yes, 100% SEO. Yeah, any question you have, put in the chat and we can make that happen, or you can be able to tell me what you want to say, and that way we can make that happen and make that connection on stage so that you can also ask the question, because people would love to hear from you too. So we're going to do this really quickly. So I want to make sure that we can do this in a very quick way and also understand what the effect is and why it's important to factor in SEO early in your business, especially when you're creating content, and why you're creating content for the people you're creating content for. All these things have to be importantly discussed. There's no two ways about it. We can't just be saying that SEO doesn't matter or it matters or it doesn't matter. We're guessing. We shouldn't be guessing. We should be knowing what exactly is going on. And you can also decide for yourself what to do with the information, because it's a lot. But we're going to take it easy today, and we're going to make sure that we can have this discussed. So now, what is old SEO? Old SEO is basically, I'll give it in its most basic way. Let's say you own a bakery, right? Let's say you own a bakery store, and you call your bakery My Bakery Wisconsin.com. Literally, that's what it is. So this the name of your bakery, and then the name of the state, and then .com. Majorly, when you do that, what you've generally done is you've created a local SEO. I can call it signal. And that signal is going to be showing you results based on the people that are within that region. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be seen outside that region, but the difference is going to be that the region that you're locating or talking about specifically is what's going to get most attention because it's localized. And now, even with the Google Core Update, which just happened in February, there's a Discover Core Update that happened. And this core update is majorly on the basis of having localized content prioritized way more than, hi Joanna, love the gift, to have this in a much higher capacity so that when you're getting more results, your content is also being seen and somebody can look for your services. If you have a bakery and you just put that bakery there, someone looking for a bakery, and you will be the first one on Google because literally you have a domain that says that you do that. So it's not that we're guessing. What's up, Celeste?
Oh, hi. Sorry, I didn't know my mic was on. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Welcome to the room. And guys, welcome to the space. So you're looking at it from a domain level, right? So if you look for plumbing, if you look for mechanics, if you look for groceries and your website is grocerystore.com, then of course you'll be showing up for people who are searching for grocery stores near them. That's how old SEO used to be. Not that it's not the same today, but it's more complex than it was before. So when you are looking at SEO long term and you're looking at the difference between old versus new, old SEO is focusing on keywords, right? Everyone says, yeah, you got to get your keywords. You got to get keywords. Yeah, keywords are important. But today, we're not talking about keywords. People talk about prompts. So that changes everything. But keep in mind, prompts are still keywords. So when we talk about prompts, don't forget that what you're actually saying is keywords that are extended, or you're talking about longer conversational terms. So you're focusing on keywords, yes. Prompts, yes. But SEO based, is it connected? Is it semantically indexed? Is it acquiring the information that you're looking for long term? And that's something that majorly you'd have to also consider and ask how that also is going to play a big role into how you create more content for yourself too. So before we go any further, Celeste, would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? And let people know who you are, and as well as what you think about the conversation today between old SEO versus new SEO.
Hi. Sorry, I'm busy being a mom and clubhousing, but good morning. At least it's still morning where I am. I'm in Oregon. And a little bit about me, I'm just a little bit of a marketing nerd who grew a business literally using organic SEO strategies. 10x my business took me about 1.5 years of just poking around with the old SEO strategies. But those strategies still keep me ranking at the top of Google to this day. So I'm very, very grateful for all the knowledge Favor has shared over the years. I definitely have picked up a lot of tips, a lot of tricks. As far as my thoughts, it's kind of like an evolving conversation. Now this AI is so prevalent in our society today. I kind of am loving the challenge of just figuring out, like, how do the old ways kind of mix with the new ways, and, you know, what things we can use in our businesses, like, to obviously, you know, get more money. But to just, you know, have maximum visibility. I'm definitely going to be tuned in because literally every day I feel like I'm learning something new, and I'm like, oh, okay, didn't know that. Also, I will be happy to report, you know, I had some beats with ChatGPT. I think they were listening to me, and they're like, let's give this lady a break, because now my chat, so on my website, it actually shows analytics for ChatGPT and Gemini, and my ChatGPT visibility score like went through the roof just over this last like month. But I have like been poking around here and there. Oh, thank you, Favor. I have been poking around here and there, like changing little stuff, because the hard part about SEO, and I would love your thoughts on this, Favor, especially because we're talking about old versus new. When you have a site that's already doing well, it's kind of hard to like poke around and be like, oh, if I change this, like, is my ranking gonna tank or like what? But you also have to be in this mode of continuous improvement, because you cannot just leave things static and not update them. Either way, I just feel like it's, you know, a little bit of a challenge, but that's what's going on with me. So I'll pass it back to you, Favor. Thank you.
You're welcome, Celeste, and congratulations on the ChatGPT win. For sure, that's a big one.
I'm going to see if I can screenshot it so I can show y'all, because y'all was pretty excited, but okay. Thank you, Favor.
you sustain? How do you retain? How do you maintain? How do you attain? There's a lot of attaining going on, and you're doing these things consistently. Welcome, Lindsay. Good morning. When you create these things and you're building your maximum depth of knowledge within the ecosystem and the semantic web, then you're not just doing old SEO where you just write content or you expect ChatGPT to write your content and then you expect to rank on Google. That would not be the ideal way of looking at it, because that's the perception and that's a misconception. So majorly, when you start looking at the large language models and you look at the SERPs, the search engine result pages, and that's not only on Google, that's search engine based, then it's also going to be outside, creating more consistency outside of those things. Because yes, they're going to be writing content. I've talked about content signals before, about how you're able to allow your website to train data that is being scanned through your website, but at the same time protecting your data from information that is being leaked through Intel. So you're able to direct the narrative with your robots, with your schema markup, with your canonical tag referencing, with things that are going to allow you to avoid duplicate content mixing. And that can give you much longer validity over time, because you're also expressing yourself through different web pages across the web. Jeff Ilali, thanks for being here. It's good to see you. He said, I optimized my sites for AI LLM in 2025. I'm now getting more leads from the AI platforms like ChatGPT as I do. I love that part, as I do, from SEO on Google, Bing, etc. That's good. And I love that, because most people would think that you want to depend on AI and totally offload or offboard Google. It's like, oh, Google doesn't matter anymore. Let's go to ChatGPT. Let's go to Claude. Let's go to Perplexity. It's like, no, you have to be on both. And when you optimize for those details, it plays a big role. And URL accessibility is one of the most top ranking factors when it comes to AI and even traditional SEO, search engine optimization. Your URL is a uniform resource locator, and the accessibility behind it is going to be factored in by completely different things. When it comes to your hypertext transfer protocol, which is your HTTP, that should be secure with an S. You should also think about how your canonical tags are representing. In other words, how are those pages being declared as the actual naming convention for the web properties that you are actually putting your website on through the Search Console. So it has to have a completely different thing. If your website is https://www. your domain, and that is the canonical tag, that should be the full name. If it doesn't have a www and after the slash starts with your domain, that's different. So those are two different things completely. So when you now start looking at your name being cited on different search engines, search bots, search boxes, then these are the things that you have to also pay attention to, because also your content is playing a big role in the discovery. And that's why your URL is important, because you might have a URL that's a duplicate URL. You may not know that. You may have a broken link. That's a URL. You have a normal page, which is a URL. You have content that's on that web page that is being connected. So if anything on that page is going to slow it down, it will even hurt your website. Let's say your website is supposed to be loading for 2.5 seconds or less, which is your LCP, your large content full paint. That just means how much your website is supposed to load up onto the screen when it becomes fully active. So with Google, when you look at, if you go to SERP API, you will see that even if you look on the right side, it's going to show you the amount of time it takes Google to actually load the page from scratch when you hit enter. So when it reaches 2.5 seconds, that 2.5 seconds is supposed to load up a page. If it loads any slower than that, anything you do on your website can even tank by conversions over at least 30 to 50% at the very least. So the goal is not just to rank or write or respond or render, however you want to call it. The goal is to become very technically sound, savvy, and secure, so that people can find you and also be secure in your property. If you have a website that's not secure, people can't stay, because that's leaking property information that they should not be having leaked. So those are things to really think about that as well. And thank you, Maria, for coming in here as well. Wanted to say good morning as well, and appreciate you for helping and listening in as well to the room. Celeste, what are your thoughts on this when you look at these type of practices today?
I think I'm more so am like leaning into like taking notes. I listen every day, I swear it's like something new. That's why I really hope everybody in the audience is, really taking notes on this, because I just feel like tomorrow it could change again. Like, I don't know. I'm kicking back to you. What are your thoughts on like just how rapid things are changing nowadays?
Yeah, things are changing super fast. And it's getting to a point where if we don't look at the properties that we have, it's going to be hard for us to really think about the sequence long term when we're getting more discoverability within these AI models. Because if you really think about it, your website is part of the web, the World Wide Web. And if your website has any type of information that is regarding any type of business operation, then you can also be listed or cited through a different source. But if your source is not the first respondent to these search engines, it's because there are things that are lacking on the technical side of your website. And most times those things are defaulted. Like, I'll give you an example. For a lot of people who use WordPress sites, they just plug in Yoast SEO and call it a day. They see a green light and all they think is, that's very subjective, because if you do have those things in place, then Jasmine's giving the eyes. When you do that, yes, it could give you a green light. But if I scan your website on the back end and I don't see a technical respondent to that robots file that is a default, then how are you going to know what to change it to and not what to know how not to break it? Because people don't even want to break anything on their site when it comes to code or scripting. So they'd rather let somebody else handle it, because the last thing you want to do is break the site. So if you don't know what it's kind of like giving a car to a mechanic knowing that they're going to fix your car. You wouldn't give it to somebody who has no idea what a car looks like under the hood. So that precaution is already something for you to consider. So when you have a website, your website is dependent on so many things, right? Because with AI, how are you going to know? Because like you said, Celeste, things are changing so fast. So the faster you upload your website, the faster you change your website, the faster you connect your website, the faster you actually start tracking data from your website with Google, the earlier, the better it is for you to actually start maximizing on that. Because the longer you push it back, the more days you can't come back from. I'll give you an example. Let's say today is May 8th, right? So let's say yesterday you have a website that is active on Google, but that website is not connected to Google. Active on Google means that somebody can search for your name, they can find your website. Oh, check my website. If you type in this, you're going to see it on Google. Of course, it's going to be on Google. But to be configured and to be authenticated, to be validated, to be processed in a green way, in a way that's evergreen, then you have to go through that process of claiming your property, right? When you claim your property, that means you have a record of Google on your domain, because you purchased your domain from somewhere. But if you don't have a record to show that you have that property listed on Google, then it's going to be hard for Google to attribute it back to you. So that's where a lot of people miss it. Because if today is May 8th and you didn't connect it yesterday, that means your data starts picking up 48 hours after you connect it. So let's say today is May 8th. By May 10th, that's when you start picking up data on your website from the Search Console. Anything prior to May 10th, you can't see anything 2026. But May 10th, 2029, of course, you're going to see something there because you already did it before. So anytime you don't connect your website to these search consoles or to these search engines, you have one day later that you can't be able to retrieve back. And that's why websites, when you look at them that have been there for years, the reason why they have domains for years is so that they can track activity. You just don't have a domain for years because you want to keep paying every year for a domain. You're having a domain because you want to track and know what people are learning about your business and how you're also contributing to the ecosystem from your brand perspective. So those are the things that people don't change. Your website, you can just start to build a whole website today and you've not updated those pages. You've not indexed those pages. You've not scan those pages, you've not validated them. So the whole idea of things changing is important. We can't change that. We too, we're changing. We're a second older right now. So we're going to keep changing, and change is good. And of course, change is inevitable. But growth, that's very dependent on how do you want to grow? How fast do you want to grow? How slow do you want to grow? How well do you want to grow? How groomed do you want to grow? So looking at your website today is one of the best things you can do for your business by creating a safe place that people can find your content. And when they find your content on Google, that means they can find your content on other platforms like DuckDuckGo, like Brave for people who use Brave browser. So there are different browsers and there are different screens. There are different operating systems, OS, that people are using, Android. People are using Apple, people are using PC, people are using Mac. They're using different screen resolutions. So a lot is happening and there are a lot of factors. Does your phone load well? Does your tablet, when it loads on a tablet, when it loads on a desktop, when it loads on a mobile, what are those numbers looking like? Is it fast on either one? Is it slow on the other? Because all those things have to work. So the whole idea is to just look at your website from a technical standpoint and get things in a way that actually helps you too. Mohammed said, I think SEO, one of the most trending jobs in future besides sales and marketing. That's true. I agree. I really agree on that because even in the future, I'm thinking about SEO as thought leadership. We'll still call it SEO, but I have a good feeling it's going to be thought leadership. It's going to be where you're going to be looking for people who have gone through the experience because Google's code of conduct is expertise, or flip it, experience, expertise, authority, and trust. Trust is built over time, and trust takes time to build. And you can't force trust. You can't enforce trust. Trust is earned, and that is earned over time. You earn an award because something happened last year, because you did something prior to the award. So when you think about the award, the reward, what those things mean and how you're able to take that in and put your website and in the first view or the first respondent to your community, then everything changes because now you're writing for the community, you're not writing for yourself. So that's very important to think about as well. Thanks for the applause, Jasmine, and for the fire, Celeste. So we'd love to hear your thoughts, Celeste. Maria, what are you thinking about this?
I'm gonna kick it over to Maria because I've been yapping my chops, but I would love to hear from her. And then I do want to comment on the teeth. But Maria, do you have any thoughts before I go on and on?
Thank you. I feel like you're right on the money here. I don't know why sometimes I learn the things that I'm learning, but this is what I'm learning about right now. So I would say, it's important, right? Like if I'm doing it, I guess so. And sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this? But when I'm standing in this room and I had one of my biz besties telling me about this, and I was learning a lot. I was starting my podcast, and then I found Favor, and I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much more. One of the things I wanted to have you maybe touch on, Favor, is so for 3.5, 4 years, I ran the homeschool admin, my business on my website on Google Sites. And I thought it was all good. I thought it was good. I didn't even have SEO backed up, but I was on Google Council. And a few things you pointed out were like the text, robot text, and then the sitemap I hadn't gotten to. So I put those things together, and now I'm on GitHub, and I'm a little bit more advanced in my thinking. But do you want to speak to how something like Google Sites doesn't serve you the way that it ought to? Because, if somebody would have told me, I would have been nice. And I don't know if anybody's using that, but maybe some of the platforms don't really allow you to do what you can be doing to feed SEO and AEO even more. I always am searching AEO too to make sure that that's on my radar. Thanks for the moment.
Wait, AEO. What does AEO stand for?
I understand it as AI engine optimization.
Mm-hmm.
You do in Google. When you go to Google, you're probably going to use their whatever they're suggesting, or you're going there for a specific, you have your own thing you're saying. So it's great. I find it great to look at that in a backwards way to find keywords. But with AI, it's you're having a full conversation all day. So how can I answer to that question? And so I know when I'm making my blogs right now, I'm not just making my blogs about what I think that I should talk about. I'm making my blogs about what my dream client is searching for in ChatGPT. I need a homeschool assistant. So now I'm filling the web with homeschool assistant, those specific words, because they have high buyer intent versus homeschool curriculum or homeschool custom curriculum. Though I would think, homeschool custom curriculum, let's fill the web with that because that's what I do. But what they're looking for is an assistant, the person who is and I want to work with homeschooling parents who have money, who are working, right? Like that's versus finding people who want freebies. So I'm really looking at just building my blog around that word. But if I would have done it on Google Sites or something, it would have been a disaster because it would have just sat there.
Oh yeah, totally. Google Sites is not it. I would say that again. Google Sites is not it. The same way GoDaddy websites are not it. I feel like it's definitely a different product within the line, or within the product line or the product market that they have. If you look at Apple too, right? It's not all their products that are all doing well. You can't compare an Apple Watch to an Apple computer, right? So yes, it's the same brand, but it's a different product vertical. So when I look at it like with Google, when they had Google domains and then sold it to Squarespace, which is now Squarespace domains, that's because they have a different vertical within that product line. When you look at platforms like Google Plus, they have something like that used to be there as well. It was red and white. And that was a brand that didn't really take off like that. It's there, but it's not, people don't really talk about that. So now when you look at it from the perspective of Google Sites, that's also a website that will just be a stick on if you just want something quick. But when it comes to, like you said, robots, sitemaps, tagging, indexing, scaling, customization, it doesn't really give you that robust idea of making it happen. Even the word Google would be on it, but it wouldn't be for that purpose. But using Google Workspace in itself is also good too, because with Google Workspace, you can have your Google work email, and then those mail exchange records are in your domain name server, which is your DNS or your domain name system. And that also helps with your robustness on getting more low risk to have more expansions with your website, so that people are not really looking at your website and it's getting dinged, but you actually have, I would say, signals from operating platforms like Google that allow you to even accelerate at a higher capacity. Like what you're saying, Maria, with the links that you have with Homeschool Assistant, people are looking for those things. So they call those scenario keywords. What is a scenario keyword? The scenario keyword is somebody wakes up in the morning, they grab their phone, they grab some coffee, and now they're on the news looking for what's the latest information about construction. That's a scenario. So that scenario is specific towards the end of that conversation. So when someone's looking for that, they're going to be looking for news that's going to help them. If it's for homeschool, that's where they're going to be looking for information on that. And like you said, with podcasts, that also changes how people respond back. We look at Apple Podcasts literally is based on exact matches, meaning that if I type in a word or a phrase or a search term, exactly the way I wrote it is exactly the way it should show up on the search results. If it doesn't, the algorithm is going to figure out what to give you based on the context and based on the topic of interest. But if you decide to write it exactly the way those words are supposed to be, and that's exactly how your episode is supposed to read, then eventually you're able to pick that up in the future, because that also gives you a longevity term, because you have Apple Podcast links, which have high domain authority, and your links within those links are also accessible through the web. So everything that you're creating is also good for you to create more, I would say, more information for people to connect with you on a deeper level than it is just on a surface level. So now with new SEO, your goal is not just to create content, it's to make sure your content is also being seen, it's being cited, you have good speed, because that speed on your website will allow more people to find you. And then when you have also schema on your website, schema is just another way of saying micro data that search engines can use to understand your page. So let's say you have a bookstore, and then somebody else is a book author. A bookstore and a book author are two different verticals. Yes, they both talk about books, but they have two different verticals. They're in two different types of businesses. So when you look at your website would also need to represent that organization type of schema. And if it's not there, you could be put into any bracket, because that word is open-ended. It's a broad word. So the goal is to make sure that your website is schema, markup, documentation based and optimized, not just on your website because you have links or you have content, but if you don't have those things that are able to show you exactly what those things will represent when the AI is looking for that type of information, it can scan through that data because you don't have that access. But when you do, your website now becomes part of the reasons why AI is scanning through your website plus others. And if you want to be part of that mix, then it also puts you at that top level, because you can ask ChatGPT or Perplexity, hey, give me the best this for that. And you get a couple of options. Why are those options listed and not others? Is because those ones that are listed are doing things outside of those platforms, because they're actually generating more content that is engaging outside of those systems, and that's including their website. So that's why they get those domains. So I think right now with SEO, AEO, which is answer engine optimization, there's a new one I saw on LinkedIn the other day called HEO, which is hybrid engine optimization. So the words keep coming. At this point, it's basically the same cosmetic. It's just basically how you're able to structure your content in a way that search bots, not even search engines, search bots can find your content, so that when people search on the engines that they use, which is Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, Google, Microsoft, you're available to the market. And it's not a saturated market, because not a lot of people go through these steps to completion. So some of them do halfway, some of them do 30%, some of them do 95%. If you do 100%, that's great, because SEO is always going to keep changing. But the idea is to make sure you have high authority, high domain visibility, and that allows you to even create more content for people, which in turn will also benefit you on the back end, because now you're able to have more brand exposure and ultimately more brand awareness for your business. So that was a great question, Maria. What do you think, Celeste and Maria? We'd love to hear from you too.
Thank you very much. The one last thing I want to answer, and it's kind of a yes or no. I don't want to take too much of like sidetrack. But when you say schema, do you mean the meta descriptions inside of the coding?
Meta descriptions inside of the coding. The meta descriptions is part of the meta data interface. So when you look at meta titles, meta descriptions, URLs, those are within one segment. Then you have something called OG, which means open graph. So anytime you send a link to somebody on your phone and you see a thumbnail, let's say you send a YouTube video or you send something that's from your website and it has a thumbnail, it has text there, and they can click on it, that's open graph. And that is completely different from meta. So those are two different sections. And then schema is another layer on top of that. So those are about 3 levels. So that's why you can, you write all your meta descriptions, but if your schema is not connected to the meta titles or the meta descriptions, then it will be hard for you to get outside of that, I would say, surface level to now under the hood level. So that's where I was focusing on, citations for you, Maria.
Thank you very much. I'm over here learning with my vibe coding. I can't help but look at it.
You're welcome. Celeste.
I just find it hilarious, Maria. I mean, I don't know if you just met Favor, but it's kind of impossible for him to answer just a yes or no. Cracked up when you asked him that. And you asked it about schema. I was like, yeah, that's going to be not it. Because schema is like a little more technical. So I already knew Favor was not going to be able to just be like, yeah. Anyhow, so before Maria chimed in, I had wanted to comment when you were talking about...
Sorry.
can you hear me? Because I'm driving. It might be off. Oh, okay, cool. So I wanted to comment about you were talking about the EAT and you asked if I had any thoughts. I have a thought slash, could be a question, but it's really a scenario. So now we're in this whole dawn of AI. First of all, I am driving. Listen, I need GPS to go around the corner, so let me make sure I'm going the right way. Okay, so we're talking about the trust. And I had a situation where I had a 911 call. Someone called me out of the blue and was like, "Oh my gosh, I set up my Instagram page for my business and it sent me this email. Like, is this a scam or is it real?" Right? And the email was basically like, "Hey, your account is restricted because you didn't follow whatever guidelines." They put the little blue hyperlink. And it was the oddest thing because they literally just set up the account. There was no posts, no nothing, no content. And they got this message. And so, I looked at it. It's a friend of mine. So I was like, "Girl, I'm off the clock, but I'll look." It was late at night. So I looked and I was like, "No, the email's legit." Like, it was from, the legit email address. That's kind of my biggest thing is when you look at the email address, if it's from like Instagram at, hmail.com, something like that, it's not valid. The actual .com needs to be like Meta or Instagram. So usually if you get that, it's legit. Anyhow, fast forward. The reason why it gave her this message is because her profile picture, she generated it with AI. There was no nothing real about it. She's also a food business, so it was like an AI. Everybody has these AI flyers now. Oh my gosh, I'm not even gonna go on a tangent about that, but yeah, I don't enjoy looking at them. So anyhow, the moral of the story is the tea, right? I'm starting to question, there's all these people. I just was actually in a clubhouse room where people were just going off about how you can build a whole business with AI. Let me show you how. I mean, cool, but let's not forget, Google is definitely evaluating your business and giving you a trust score. So if everything is AI generated, it's like how can Google and other search engines actually trust you? I kind of am like, okay, it's TBD because I'm in a group and there are a lot of SEO experts, and some of them say yeah, I built a whole site with SEO and it's ranking well. Some of them are like, yeah, I built a whole site. I mean, not with SEO, with AI, and I have yet to get any traffic. So I'm just curious, but I did find it very interesting that, we're not necessarily talking about Google, but Instagram is a search engine. And they were like, heck, girl, you can't come over here with that AI stuff. So just be careful, with the AI. I think that you can get a little bit of traction with it, but don't take it too far. Still put some human effort into it. So that's all I wanted to say.
Definitely. Thank you, Celeste. That's a big one, 100%. I feel like that changes everything when you create it and you're more intentional with your business so that people can actually see you and connect with you. And when people search, they're able to find the right information. And LinkedIn, it starts off with LinkedIn. If there's nothing you don't want to do with SEO and it's new SEO, just use LinkedIn because LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft. Microsoft is Bing, and Bing is also connected to Perplexity if you just put out a stretcher. If you look at all these AI tools and then compare that to ChatGPT, Claude, and the rest of them, Anthropic, the rest there are about 50 plus crawlers out there. If you're thinking about being on these search engines and being on these search bots, you have to create them on your website so that it's also printing the same thing. It's not going to be like an abracadabra. It's like, oh, it's right there. No, it's a cancel moment. You have to make sure that you're looking at it from a point of view that says, okay, if I'm going to create content for this audience, then these people need to know about this thing. And it's going to take time. Like you said, Celeste, now you're seeing on ChatGPT, that wasn't happening a month ago. So it's going to take time. And we have a lot of time. So I feel like we're rushing so much instead of us just waiting and trusting the process while we build. When you build a house, you're building it for a rainy day. You're not building it so you can live in it halfway through your build. So it's to just trust the process and understand that these things will take time and give it weeks. But the faster you're able to connect them, the earlier you're able to connect them, the better you're able to see the results because you can use that same data for the next year when you do the same thing. Israel, we'd love to hear from you before we go. What's up? Good morning.
Good morning. I didn't realize I was here at the very end, and you covered AI engine optimization and answer engine optimization, and yeah, I would just say that that's a big one now. A lot of SEO used to be about keywords and things like that that would map the site so that people could be able to discover the site given certain keyword strategies. But now it's more about answers, becoming the answer to the problem. So AI will reward, structured knowledge that answers people's questions, and users need to will right now will expect outcomes. I think the society with SaaS before we were software as a service, and I talked about this term a couple of years ago, and now it's becoming more. But outcome as a service, I think is going to be more than anything, and becoming that outcome and delivering that outcomes as business builders is going to be more and more important, and content should start leaning to delivering outcomes, not just information that captures search. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Thank you, Israel. I appreciate that. I've heard this too. Attention is a new currency. And I added something to it. And I said, when you look at it from a financial or fiscal standpoint, attention is a new currency and retention is a new balance. So when you look at your balance sheet, when you look at your balance statement, when you look at your equilibrium, how you're able to, your input, your output, what are you putting in, what are you getting out, how are you giving, how are you receiving, how are you sharing, all that's going to be a big play into what you do today. Because when you look at AI and how it's looking at your last modified, your last received, your last edited, your last published, those are the things that it will be factoring in. If you've been in business and you're not writing content and you're producing it in a way that these platforms can see, it will be hard for you to actually result back into those ecosystems. So thank you so much, Israel, for sharing this as well. And Hidden says as well, Google is a computer. That is true. When you look at all these gadgets and tools, there's something called Google DeepMind. Go Google it. It's called Google DeepMind. I won't go too far into that because we have to jump.
That's the company that made Gemini and everything eventually. But I want to say one last thing about the retention that you really struck on. So I'm in startups. I advise early stage startups, and at this point right now, I have a startup of my own, and the valuation of my startup changes directly related to retention of customers. So yeah, retention is valuable. Thank you.
You are welcome, Israel. Thank you for being here and thank you for joining us today in the Marketing Club. Definitely, it's exciting to be here. And I said, yeah, I'll definitely do something on a Friday. I know it's a weekend, it's Mother's Day weekend. So all the mothers in the room, I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope y'all enjoy your day, enjoy all the good things, and you deserve it. You are important, you are loved, you are enough, and you're everything. So thank you so much for being here. I'm excited that we've been able to talk about this today. We'll talk about this more as well. Next week, I'll talk about LinkedIn because I've been tipping around it. And just to give y'all a quick hindsight, if you're next to a computer, if you can write this down on your phone, if you can think about this, please write this down. I'll be talking about this soon. Facebook ads library versus LinkedIn ads library. There's a LinkedIn ads library. So you can Google that, check it out. We're going to talk about those things and how it's going to play into your marketing, your professional networking, how SEO is involved and all the technical stuff. I talk with people on LinkedIn and Pinterest, so I'm able to see these things on the back end. So yeah, we'll talk about it and make sure that it gets done. So thank you all for being here. I hope you have a blessed day and thank you all for being in this room. I look forward to connecting with you all. Have a wonderful weekend and I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye for now.
Welcome to season 13, where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn. A lot of information is always given on this show. So, we're in the 13th season. God has brought us so far, and I just want to thank God for the opportunity to connect with you today on such quiet, calm space like this. So thank you for listening. Know that Jesus loves you and know that you can always connect with me on the We Don't Play podcast show. More specifically, go to wedon'tplaypodcast.com or you can go to playinc.online. That is PLAYINC.online and get in touch with me. Let's get on a call. Let's talk. Let's focus on SEO for 2026 and beyond. So until we meet in the next episode, God bless you. Jesus loves you. Stay hydrated, stay safe, and stay blessed, and stay tuned. Bye for now.